Hi everyone, my name's Darryl Panes, CEO at As Good as Gold Australia, and today once again I'm joined by my brother Brian,
Good morning,
partner at As Good as Gold. And today we interview Gerald Celente, top trends forecaster in the world. Gerald is the director of the Trends Research Institute and the publisher of the Trends Journal, where you read about history before it happens. Good morning, Gerald.
Morning, Gerald.
And welcome back.
It's probably good afternoon or evening.
Evening over here.
Yeah. It's always challenging, Gerald. I can't believe it's been 18 months. It's a long time between drinks. I know that you've been remarkably busy over there, and that's understandable. And as have we here, we've been inundated, haven't we, over the last 6 months, in particular, the last couple of months, ridiculous. But look, here's, Gerald, I think there's more and more people at the moment, this is the feedback we're getting from our client base, more and more people that have just come to the realisation that the central banks aren't going to help them out. They have no idea on how to handle inflation. They're not going to save them. They've worked that out. We keep getting this information coming back all the time. Interestingly enough, as we all know, Janet Yellen has got it wrong so many times, we've lost count. I mean, she got it wrong with inflation generally because she said there was no inflation. And then she said it was transitory. And now she doesn't even know what inflation is. And what I mean by that is that she said just recently that she was blaming the supply chain breakdown and the disruption to business, of course, from the pandemic and the Ukraine war. Now, I know, because Brian and I have been in business for a long time, as you have, Gerald, and I know that what she's talking about would have some impact on prices. But what she doesn't know or didn't make clear was the fact that inflation, of course, as we all know, is caused by overprinting of currency and devaluing of your currency. She never ever brings that in the conversation. So and then we get the RBA here in Australia, who a few months ago said there was no chance of interest rate hikes until 2024. And now, just a few months later, we're having interest rate increases every month. And that appears to be as though it's going to be continuing for the next 6 months at least, right up until the end of the year. Gerald, how can people who are supposed to know what they're doing get it so wrong? If I could put that to you.
How do they keep their jobs?
How do they keep their jobs, Gerald?
First, on how do they keep their jobs? I mean, they're banksters. As the story goes, once upon a time, there was someone named Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And one day he makes a whip. You couldn't buy them in, the stores in those days. And he drives the money changers out of the temple. 3 days later, he's on the cross. These are money changers. They're bankster mobsters.
Yeah.
You're just a piece of garbage. Hey, I'm JP Morgan Chase. I'm little Jamie Dimon. I'm Goldman Sachs. We're too big to fail. Pump in $29 trillion between 2007 and 2010 because we need the money. The rest of you could go to hell. This is a criminal group.
Yeah.
Were they lying or were they stupid? That's the question.
Yeah.
Anybody with a brain bigger than a pea knows the deal. Oh, how about this? Negative interest rates in the UK, in the EU, ECB, since 2014. And they make up this crap. Oh, when inflation goes around 2%, we will begin to raise interest rates. Hey, they've been going up, what are you at, 8.1% now? And you're throwing out the crap out of your god mouth? The former head of the IMF, the International Mafia Federation, that's now the head of the ECB, and we're going to raise them 25 basis points. Oh, so you're going to bring it now to minus 25 basis points when you got inflation at 8.1% and the economy's already going down the crapper? Oh, and you sick imbeciles, you maniacs, we're going to put sanctions on Russia and we're going to hurt Putin. You're not going to hurt. How much are the gas and oil prices up? Look what they've done. What people got to get in their mind, I want to make this really clear. These are mentally ill people. They're psychopaths, sociopaths, and pathological liars. Just put it all together. Remember that guy we had over here in America? They talk about America being a racist nation, and they elected a black president. Racist nations don't elect black presidents, but we'll call it racist anyway, because we'll really be stupid and sell hate. Barack Obama, the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner. Oh, yeah, folks. He was always folking us. I want that guy Gaddafi out of there. I want that guy Assad out of there. Oh, but Celente, not like that. You have to do it properly. You know, he's hurting his people, and we're going to go there to bring freedom and democracy. We are going to destroy the richest country in Africa, where the people have more rights and benefits than most of the world, because they have oil over there. Oh, no. The reason the United States is in the eastern part of Syria, in Iraq, and in Libya was because their major export was broccoli. I forgot. All right. There's a crime syndicate in charge in a country near you. Look what they did with these COVID lockdowns. They destroyed businesses far beyond the belief of anybody. And now you're talking about raising interest rates in Australia as those sick people lock down the place. How long? We're going to flatten the curve. No, and the big businesses to stay open, but you little pieces of crap, you got to close. Okay. So now you're slowing down the economy when the economy was already destroyed, and you artificially propped it up with all of this cheap money you dumped in and low interest rates so the bigs could buy up everything. And now you're slowing it down when it was going down, by the way, before COVID in 2019. You had Germany's GDP was a fraction away from going into recession.
So how long, Gerald, talking about interest rates, how long can they continue to increase interest rates before they absolutely crash the markets? I mean, I remember what happened in Japan, early 1990s, when they destroyed the real estate market and the stock market over there. Yeah. This is a similar situation. It's following the same policies. How long do you think they can continue to do it before they absolutely destroy the markets?
It's hard to tell because the whole game is rigged. And I'm not making that up. I talked about that crime syndicate called JP Morgan Chase, convicted of 5 felonies, including rigging the precious metals market, which only paid $900 million back in 2019 for. It's a crime syndicate. Oh, we have the plunge protection team. Oh, you mean the New York Federal Reserve rigging the markets on Wall Street? I'm trying to get it in everybody's head. It's a crime syndicate. They only care about themselves. And here's the big thing. When all else fails, they take you to war.
Yep.
And World War III has begun. Crap they teach you in school. World War I began when the Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated in Sarajevo. What the hell is an Archduke and what's a Sarajevo? You mean it wasn't going on before that? Look what's happened in Europe. That little slimy, arrogant boy, Stoltenberg, the NATO head over there. We're increasing the troops in NATO from 40,000 to 300,000. And we're going to move them into the Baltic states. So, of course, if Russia was up in Canada with missiles aimed at us, and the Chinese were down in Mexico with missiles aimed at us, we'd love it.
So many people who talk about rigged markets, so many people are asking the question at the moment, okay, this is a perfect environment for precious metals. Perfect.
Yeah.
And yet they are not going at the moment. They haven't reached all-time highs, and they're going sideways at the moment. Can you just talk a little bit about that as to why they haven't reached an all-time high?
Again, it makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
And then again, they're stopping Russia from selling gold in a lot of places. That should push the price up again, supply and demand. And so again, the banksters want to keep gold down.
Of course.
There's two things that's going to wake people up to how bad it is. Number one, when the equity markets crash.
Yeah.
Number two, when gold prices skyrocket and they realize their currencies are worthless.
Yeah.
So they're going to do everything they can not to make that happen.
Yes, they will.
You know, you go back, and I got screwed big time by it. I forgot there was the MS Global, MFC Global. I was playing the futures markets back in 2011. And they ended up stealing hundreds of millions of dollars. Gold was at a high. When that happened, gold prices went down. That was the beginning of that going down in 2011, 2012. And the guy was he was with Goldman Sachs, and he was the former governor of New Jersey. I forgot his name, a little piece of slime. And I sued them, by the way. And I lost money. But again, it's a rigged game. At some point, it's going to come through. But my greatest fear is World War III. Listen, if I said to you guys, listen, give me some guns. I can't stand the guy across the street. He built a fence on my property and he won't take it down. Give me some guns. I want to blow his brains out. And you gave me guns. You would be an accessory to the crime.
Yep.
This is not a proxy war. The United States, NATO, and its allies are at war with Russia. It's as simple as that. And they're going to ramp it up. Again, when all else fails, they take you to war. What followed the Great Depression? World War II.
Yes.
What followed World War I? Oh, you mean when the banking crisis in the United States was going down and all across Europe? What happened? The day before 9/11, the NASDAQ was down, about 66% against the NASDAQ dropped from the dot-com bust. Oh, and the next day it was 9/11. We're going to get that guy Osama bin Laden dead or alive. Little Georgie Bush, a little daddy's boy born on third base and throw you a home run. A little moron that anybody could believe this little jerk. Only 88% of the American people did. People believe this stuff. Again, I write a magazine, the Trends Journal, a weekly. Last week was 157 pages on average. About 160 pages. Yeah. This is from 2014. See that face? It's the United States overthrow of the Ukraine government in 2014. Written in detail by Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, former Assistant Treasury Secretary under Ronald Reagan. How Yanukovych, the president who was democratically elected at the time, Ukraine has been in the toilet since the Soviet Union broke up. They needed money. They're going to make a deal with the IMF and the EU. Putin said, I got a better deal for you. I'll give you lower interest rates. I'll cut your price on oil. Boop. That was it. And again, we write about this stuff in detail. People forget. There were also, it was the Sochi Olympics that year. And continually, on and on and on. Yeah, we have pictures right there. They were telling you not to go to the Sochi Olympics because the Black Widows, all the filth, you don't want to go there. It had the lowest ratings of any Olympics. And that was just before they overthrew the country. Here it is, right here. I'll give you some of the language. The Olympic venues were not ready reporters claimed. It wasn't safe to drink the yellow water. There were homophobes everywhere. And we write on, minor annoyances were magnified. They go on to say that according to a steady stream of reports, hotel rooms were in disrepair. The city was filthy. Poor people had been shipped out of sight and stray dogs shot. On and on. People bought it. They had me, when I was a kid, they had us hiding under desks in case an atom bomb went off that the Russians were going to drop. All right? Hiding under a desk is going to save your life.
No.
But everybody believed it. Just like the COVID crap. Stand 1 meter apart. No, 2 meters apart. You can stay up until 10 p.m. Oh, you can stay up until 11 p.m. They make up this crap. They've been telling us to hate the Russians and the hypocrisy, the coverage of the media of the Ukraine war. Hey, how come they didn't cover the Iraq war like that? Oh, you only killed over 1 million people in Iraq. Hey, how about the 20-year Afghan war? How come you weren't covering that day after day after day after day after day after day? How come you weren't showing the pictures of all the murder? Oh, that guy Assange that they're going to extradite to the United States? Oh my God, what he did. He showed the Americans slaughtering innocent Iraqis from helicopters and laughing. Why, how dare he? What hypocrisy. I'm totally against the Russian invasion. I want to make that clear. I launched Occupy Peace. Matter of fact, I'm having a peace and freedom rally up here on July 23rd in Kingston, New York. Judge Napolitano, Ritter, Gary Null, and others are going to. So I'm fighting for peace. I'm totally against it. But I totally understand why the Ukraine war happened. And as a trend forecaster, I see the future, and the future is hell on earth if we don't stop this. Again, in case the Australians don't want to go back and have a great time in Gallipoli again.
Getting back to the rigging of markets, and I look at that and I think it's a little bit like a juggler. And I've made reference to this previously, but you've got a juggler there and they may have 7 or 8 balls, and then they get thrown an 8th ball, a 9th ball, and a 10th ball just becomes too much, and they can't control the number of balls in the air, and they all fall down. And that's exactly what's happening here. You just lose control of all of this. With reference to precious metals, even though it's a rigged market, I look at it and I say, gold's done pretty well over the last 20 years. It's up 600% in Aussie dollars, is up from 400 to 650, which is a 600% gain over that period of time. So I think I know gold and silver are the best go-to investment at the moment. Your thoughts in this environment, Gerald?
I've been buying gold since 1978. 1977, say my first one was $187.50 an ounce. I buy it and put it away. I buy it and put it away. I buy it and put it away. I don't give financial advice. I want to make that 100% clear. The magazine, the Trends Journal, we tell you what in the world is going on, what it means, what's next. And then we give out trend forecasts, and the motto is think for yourself. To me, gold is the number one precious, the safe haven asset. And at some point, it's not going to be able to push it down. And because this thing, you're going to see a socioeconomic and geopolitical crisis, the likes of which are unprecedented in human history. What they did with these COVID lockdowns, again, you couldn't make this up. Nobody would ever believe this. We would have become the Chinese way. Used to make fun of the Chinese for wearing masks. When they first locked down, look at this, they're locking down. Can you imagine that? All right. So what I'm saying is the damage that has been done is unprecedented. It's not going to be fixed. So to me, gold, and this is no plug for you guys. It's what I believe, and I write about it and have been for years. It's the number one safe haven asset, and silver comes in number 2.
Yeah, we've always said, and Gerald, we've followed your lead basically so far as our investing in precious metals is concerned, but we've always said gold and silver are about getting rich, not getting rich quick, getting rich slow. But gold is much more than that, of course, and we all know that.
What they're going to do, you never know what's going to happen. And I say to people, why would you keep money in a bank? They're paying you virtually no interest rates. And I go back to what happened on 9/11. USA Today used to run our top 10 trends when it was a big newspaper. And in 2000, we put them out in December for the year ahead. In 2000, the headline read, 2001 won't be our year, Trendseer says. And I warned that a wave of anti-Americanism was sweeping the globe because Americans wouldn't be safe at home or abroad, because people forget all the murder that the American government has been committing. I mentioned with George Bush, Clinton rather, and what he was doing. So anyway, when 9/11 happened, and I'm watching what's going on, and they say, planes are coming down the Hudson River. And of course, I'm a New Yorker. I know the Hudson River inside out, upside down. Used to go water skiing there in the river as a kid.
Okay.
And so I know where Indian Point is. Indian Point nuclear power plant is 35 miles north of New York City. And I said, if they hit this nuclear power plant and they say the planes are going down the Hudson, there's going to be chaos like you've never seen in your life. So one of the first things I did is I had certificates of deposit. Used to get interest in those days. I said, I want my CDs transferred to the bank over here. It was in Rhinebeck, New York. I'm sorry, Mr. Celente, we can't transfer them. Certificates of deposit are traded on Wall Street, and Wall Street is closed. In other words, screw you, you can't get your money. Now, here we are, we're having this conversation. All of a sudden, we just got a flash. It seems as though the Russians hacked the banks. I'm sorry, we're going to do everything we can to get your money back. They'll do anything.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, why would you keep your money in a bank when they're paying you no interest and they're making money on your money?
Yeah.
And to me, gold is, when I tell people, you buy it, young people, buy it, put it away, 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 buy it, put it away. If you want to gamble, play the futures market, great. That's how I began my career, by the way. I was a chief government affairs. I was number 2 guy running a major trade association at 32 years old, living in DC and Chicago. And when the Iranian crisis broke out, as everybody taught us how to hate the Iranians and not knowing anything about the overthrow of the democratically elected government of Mossadegh back in 1953, because Standard Oil and Anglo-Iranian oil didn't want Mossadegh, the president, to nationalize it. And you could read the transcripts from Winston Churchill and the CIA, how they overthrew the government. So as everybody's hating the Iranians, I said, what would be the implications? And I realized that gold and oil prices would go up. This is 1970s, late 1970s. I parlayed a $5,000 bet into almost $750,000. And I quit my job. That's how I began trend forecasting. And that's when I became a political atheist. I look at things the way they are, not the way I want them to be.
Yeah.
And so, by the way, I lost about, I ended up with about 150,000. I was gambling the markets. I didn't know. I'm going back into the late 70s. People weren't doing this. People didn't know how to play futures. But that's how I began my career. And all I kept doing, and I buy it and I put it away, buy it and put it away. Because the other point I wanted to make, they're going to go digital.
Yeah.
So they know every penny you spent, where you spent it, and how you spent it. When they go digital, the value of the currencies are going to really collapse.
Good, strong points. Yeah. I agree with everything you've said, of course.
Let me, Gerald, let me continue on with that on that frame of gold and fiat currency. When we talked last, and I didn't know it was 18 months ago, but that's it seemed like yesterday. When we talked last, I brought up the subject of gold measured in dollar terms and in obviously in gold terms, and in respect to the Model T Ford, the manufacturer of the Model T Ford was $330, well $380 or so. So I've just got here, I mentioned that the present day Model T Ford, today's day, has not risen in price since 1908. In fact, it has reduced in price from 18 ounces of gold to 16 ounces of gold. The changes to the car are quite obvious, right, with the addition of technology, but using fiat money, the price of a Ford has gone from $380 to $32,000. Now, I'm just going to bring in a couple of more facts and then ask you the question. So I also took the price of a barrel of oil, 1950 to present day. In English pounds, it's up 83 times. Now, 83 times, Darryl, is 8,300%.
Yep.
In US dollars, it's up 39 times. In euros, it's up 15 times. Now, if you go back a bit further, before the euro, you'd probably find it about the same as the US, 40 times. In gold, the price of a barrel of oil is down 30%. Now, I'm just trying to bring up the power of gold and where we should be going today. I look at copper, the price of copper between 1900 and 2022 today. In US dollars, it's up 27 times, 2,700%. In gold, it's down 70%. I mean, how the power of gold to equalize things out. Let's look at scrap iron and steel. 1934, in the heart of the Depression, to right now, in US dollars, this is up 69 times. Round it off at 70,000%, sorry. In gold, it's, for the first time, gold is up as well, but it's up 32%. In other words, 32% as against 6,900%. Look, last week, from the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, was interviewed, and he stated that the members of the BRICS group, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are close to organising their basket of currencies and having it backed by gold so they can trade internationally without the use of the US dollar. This is over half of the world's population. Gerald, these examples of gold prices I have given you, how close are we? What your comments? How close are we to seeing gold being implemented into a new currency, or is it still a little way off?
I think it's going to happen. The more this war ramps up, and China is totally allied with Russia, they're not going to be trading in dollars. The dollar is going to go. And again, you talked about the Depression. You go back to the Depression. Was a depression economically, but there wasn't skyrocketing inflation. This is going to be, they're all saying we're going to be having stagflation, stagnant economy, and rising inflation. It's not going to be. It's going to be dragflation, a dragging down economy, and higher inflation. It's simple. The gold is going to be under pressure because the dollar's staying strong. And the only reason the dollar's staying strong is because of all the other currencies being so weak. Talked about Japan before, in the 1990s. Look at Japan, they're lowering interest rates. Look what's happened to the yen. It's what, a 2002 low against the dollar? So they're going to replace the dollar at some point. There's absolutely no question about it. As I say, pick your side. China and Russia versus US and NATO. The winner is everybody loses if it comes to war. But the business of China is business. The business of America is war. You look at China's infrastructure, its rails, and you come to America, it's a night in Calcutta when you take the subway. This country's going down big time. So the 21st century is going to be the Chinese century. The 20th century was the American century, because the business of China's business and the business of America's war. So being that they're in business, yes, they're going to do away with the dollar.
Yeah. Well, what I would say to the Australian viewers that are listening to this, and obviously the international ones as well, is that you better start saving in gold and silver, because it's going to be the only protection that you have. Yes, you can't eat it. Yes, you need food, but that's only a small cost. If you want to protect yourself, insure yourself, You have to have some gold and silver. Very interesting. In South Australia, it's the state of Australia that we live in. One of our manufacturers just learnt today that they are stopping business after 70 years because they can't compete with the Asian imports, right? Yeah. But I'll guarantee you, and I think you'd agree with me, Gerald, when China and the Asian countries and Russia really put everything together, they'll have their currencies backed by gold. And no other country, no other country will put, they just won't, no other country will be able to compete. Yeah.
Let's go back and think about, when did they take it off, the United States?
1971.
Under Richard Nixon, inflation was skyrocketing. That's when it began. And they took us off the gold standard. That was the beginning of the end. And by the way, the guy that was the U.S. Treasury Secretary, his name was John Connally. John Connally was also the governor of Texas that was sitting in front of JFK when JFK was assassinated. And Connally took the bullet in the back. I have a photo of me, John Connally, and his wife, Nellie, in front of the book depository where Kennedy was assassinated. He wanted to meet me back in 1992. And I have a photograph. It's been in the magazine. As we're walking back into the Anatole Hotel, he wanted to meet me because I had a book called Trend Tracking back then. It came out in 1989 in Time magazine. It's far better than Megatrends, Time magazine. And in that book, I had forecast to be a new third party, and someone like Ross Perot would be the candidate. I wrote that in 89. And this is in 92 when I met him because he wanted to meet me. How did I know that? And this is 2 weeks before the American elections when Bill Clinton won. We're walking back into the Anatole Hotel, and he looks at me and he said, you know, I read your book. He said, it's a fine piece of work. He said, I know your heart's in the right place. He said, but you don't have a clue what's going on. And neither do the American people. Because if they did, there'd be a revolution in this country.
Yeah, it's a sad position to be in.
It is very, very, very wise words once again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's people like Gerald that Charlie Tremendous Jones was talking about. Yeah, Charlie is no longer with us, which is a dreadful shame, but Charlie Jones used to be a very powerful motivational speaker. And he would say, in 10 years' time, you're going to be in exactly the same position you're in right now, apart from two things: people you meet and the books you read. And I don't think anyone could be more accurate in making that statement. Meeting people like Gerald Celente, taking advantage of what Gerald has to offer is a must, in my opinion. We've got lots of viewers and subscribers that are going to be tuning into this interview on Saturday night. I could not recommend anyone more highly than Gerald Celente to take advantage of the Trends Journal. Gerald, could you just confirm once again how they might contact you if they were genuinely interested in knowing more? Yeah.
You see our magazine, there's nothing like it, and I'm not saying it because it's ours. We're telling people, you know, we're giving them facts and information and trends that you can't find anywhere else in the world. We're giving every ounce of energy we have to do the best we can because we know how, you know, what the future is holding. So we're trying to do everything we can to help people prepare and really fight what's coming down in the future so they prevail and prosper. So it's trendsjournal.com, trendsjournal.com. Again, it's history before it happens. We pointed out with this whole baloney of temporary and transitory inflation back almost 2 years ago, we said it was real, putting down the facts. And it had nothing to do, again, with supply chains. That was a little part of it. The biggest part was all the cheap money and all of the low interest rates. And now they're blaming Putin. Putin didn't put sanctions on himself.
No.
NATO and the allies and Americans did. And again, I also launched Occupy Peace. I want peace on earth and goodwill to men and women. You know, I'm had enough with this war baloney. I don't want it. Ukraine's not my country. It's only going on between Russia and Ukraine, what, 1,000 years? You know, it's not, I'm an American. You solve your own problems over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need more people like you, Gerald, and Ron Paul, and these types of figures. We just we got to elect these types of people into government and throw out some of these idiotic. I won't call them anything else, but they're just idiotic policy people.
Yeah.
It's a crime syndicate, and again, we need new systems. The governing parties they're sold out, bought out. Look at the freak show you have over there. I forgot the woman that name that was the premier over there, Gladys. I just call her Gladys.
Berejiklian.
Yeah, I call her Gladys been jerking off. I couldn't pronounce it. And then I found out she was doing it to somebody else.
All right,
Gerald, thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate your support, and we'd like to thank our viewers and subscribers, of course, as well, for their constant commitment to this channel. Until next time, Gerald, stay well, stay focused, and goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.